This is what happened when I got this radio. I pulled it out, grabbed the manual, and had a quick look for one thing in particular. And you know what I looked for? Mixing. As soon as I saw it said it did mixing, I got straight back onto Rlaarlo's website and ordered another receiver, because mixing is super duper. Cable, tools, receiver. Now today I stuck the receiver into this Bandit, and in this video we're going to go for a little drive. I'm just going to pop this out so you can see what we got here. So what you're looking at here is an 8-channel receiver. It's got all 8 ports, they're PWM ports. You also see another wire coming out of it here. That's a voltage meter, and it's designed to plug into the balance plug of your battery cable, which is fabulous. It'll detect anything up to 6S power, and it'll give you that on the radio. It's got 2 antennas coming out of it as well, and there's a bind button, and it is not waterproof. It takes 4 to 9 volts, and it has a built-in gyro. When you first get it, by the way, there's a bind button on there. You need to hold down bind and then turn power on when you first get it, because my radio wasn't linked to this receiver when I first got it, so just be aware of that. To get the full claimed 350 meter range, you want to have those 2 cables upright, and I think at 90, like at a V, but upright, and that'll give you the best possible range with this style of radio. It's an 8-channel, 1, 2, with an adjustable little finger width thing that you can change. You can also change the tension of the spring. 3, push button. 4, 3 position switch. Then A, B, C, D, that's 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 channels. Center button, scroll wheel, that also clicks, and that's your whole menu system. Takes 4 AA's. Also takes a 2S battery because it plugs in via a balance plug, not 1S, has to be 2S. Also takes a single 18650. But I've got a problem here. I've got the Samsung 30Q 18650 batteries, but they have a flat top. And as you can see in the photo I'm showing you, it didn't touch. So I'll hold this up for a sec. It's recessed. The positive side is recessed. What it really wants is a short spring there so that the flat button ones fit, and maybe a shorter spring on the negative, because the longer 18650 I've got didn't fit. So I've had some fitment issues, and also this little toggle thing, just be aware, this is really stiff, and my nails are actually fairly short at the moment, but this one looks long because the nail's actually been killed. I actually injured myself and I had blood everywhere. It slipped under there today, and it still hurts a lot. When you plug it in, whether it's your 4 AA's or it's a little 2S battery, if you're wondering about size, get 4 AA's in a row. You've got to have a small 2S battery. It's about the size of 4 AA's in a row, if you're wondering. And you can run the 4 AA's and then add in 650 at the same time, or the 4 AA's and a 2S battery. It's got haptic feedback. It also has beeping. I've got that turned off. You've got voltage here for your current radio, and I've got 4 nickel metal hydrides, and 5.3 volts will be about full, so we're on the flatter side. You've also got receiver voltage. Now remember, I said it plugs into the balance plug. I've actually attached mine more permanently to the power line. When we add power to the Bandit here, you watch what happens on this. Make it so you can see both things. Alright, watch the screen. System's on, and boom, there you go. 8.2 volts coming through, and it's not fully charged with this battery, so 8.2 would be about right. Okay, we've got the radio. I've got my Bandit now with a 16 tooth pinion, and we're on 2S. This is my first time using this radio, apart from a little bit of fiddling today to get it set up. We're not using the gyro, which I prefer personally. How's this radio feel? Actually pretty nice. The other thing I did with my Bandit today was replace those rear links. I made some better ones for it. Had to bend some stuff up to fit. So how's this radio feel in the hand? Well, I like the spring on the throttle. It's actually quite nice. It also has a convenient little thumb thing for those who can't do that, so that's nice. The buttons are in a comfortable spot, and this thing actually feels quite solid in the hand. I like the foam on the steering. Come on, out you come. This won't be my best driving. Because I'm talking and trying to film with the radio. How do the buttons feel as far as location? Well, that's actually quite easy to locate. I like that. It's got a pleasing feel to it. And the haptic feedback, there's a motor in here as well that gives you that positive feedback. As far as braking goes too, because you can adjust the width of this thing, you can really make it quite narrow. And when it's on its biggest wideness, it still doesn't hamper the function of the throttle. You can actually make it fairly tight to give it a nice little grip on your finger. And it's nice and balanced. Look, as far as the ergonomics go, it's very easy to say I like it. The menus, I think, need some work, but thankfully, because it comes with a USB cable and a programming ready port, and a very receptive company too, because I've emailed them a bunch today, like a spam level of email, and I've gotten polite thank yous a couple of times, and they've passed it on, and even had a question back to clarify one of the things. So thanks to Hottie and the team at Rlaarlo for having an open mind to my suggestions, which were not invited. And I realized that, you know, HotRC have made this radio for them. So they've got their own firmware. It is my hope that they will release an updated firmware on their website. We're going to be able to, you know, do the update. What do I think of the radio? Look, I like it. I think the most compelling thing is that you get mixing. It's basic, but you get mixing and a gyro for a pretty low price. So that's not bad at all. Again, HotRC does the manufacture, so they're not new to making radios. It looks good. It's easy to drive. It feels great. And to have two power sources once you get an 18650 that fits, I mean, what else can you ask for? That's grouse. All right, so we'll smack out some functions really quickly. Model selection, you can have up to 8 models. The name, I've called mine Bandit, and that's how many characters you get, 6 characters to name it. Second page of 5, phase, which is channel reverse, range, which is endpoint, and I've emailed Rlaarlo about changing this. Fine tuning is trim. Remapping, I'll show you remapping. Remapping is simply saying what channel 3 corresponds to, switch A, switch B, and then your ABCD buttons. Button definition tells you, it's like the button mode, so momentary press, toggle press, so on, off, and then look, I've set it up to show you. So A, B, C, D, once double third. They're using once double third. I've emailed them about this, and I've suggested momentary or just press, and then toggle, and then 3 pause, so that people will understand this. Let me show you. So remember, A, B, and C, once double third. Come back to the main screen. Here is what the channels are doing. So here's once. A is 5. The contrast is quite low, and I've emailed them about changing this as well. So this is just momentary. B is on, off, and then C is all the way down, center, all the way up. So this is a 3-way position. So that's what once double third is. The rest of this stuff is to do with mixing. So direction will give you different modes. In a tank or like in a boat, you can change what some of those will do. We also have mixing for what A, B, C, and D do at the same time. Linearity is actually expo for throttle and brake. ESC setup, we're not touching that one, but that includes cruise control, which you can set. Servos, you can change the frequency and the maximum angle, 90, 180, 270, and that's to say what kind of servo you're using. For a ground machine, you just want 90 degrees, so you can leave all that. And the frequency is to do with analog and digital. Again, you can leave that. Pairing, which is bind, you'll need to bind when you first get it. Hold down the bind button, turn the power on, then go pairing and connect, and it'll do it. Failsafe is self-evident. Control is your gyro, and you can change sensitivity from 0 to 100, and you can have forward or reverse direction depending on what you want the wheels to do, and then how much of the total steering it'll use when it uses that. Postback should actually be called alarm or feedback. I've got my battery type set to user. I set user so that I could say what voltage I want the alarm at, and there's even a voltage offset, so if you don't like what it's reading, you can modify that. Training is interesting. Master and slave, you've got a USB cable. Master will be the one that drives it. Slave will just have control of these two things. So it's kind of like having a trainer or a parent or whatever. You need a second radio, but they connect via USB-C cable. And lastly, this page, system is the big one here. You can select which battery you're using, whether it's 4AA's, 2S battery, the 1S battery, which is your 18650. I've got it on mute at the moment, which gives me haptic feedback, but you can also change it to beep. You can have haptic and beeping, or you can just have null, which is nothing. LCD max brightness and minimum brightness, and how long it takes to go to that. And then you can have a setup lock, change the language, and that is the gist. Now, this is Rlaarlo's first Rlaarlo radio, but it's made by HotRC, who also made this interesting little jigger. I've got a video about that. It's quite an interesting one. The gyro is interesting. The mixing is interesting. The manual is actually quite good. Now, I've emailed Rlaarlo with 8 or 10 emails with a few suggestions on how to improve a couple of things, and I'd said by all means ignore it. But this thing's actually quite good. I like the receiver. Really, the only thing that needs a little bit of work is the user interface, but I mean it's quite good. And of course, I injured myself on the 18650 door. Like, it's still quite painful, but I like this thing. It's quite nice. So in short, I'm quite happy with the radio. I like it. Check out a link in the description below. I've got I think it's on a discount for a little while it's new. So I'm going to get this video out nice and quick. Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you so much for watching this year. It's been my pleasure to make videos for you. I look forward to more in 2024. Once again, Rlaarlo has this online. Check the description. Thank you to Rlaarlo for sending this to me for a review. You guys know I'll always be hard or honest on a thing if it's got its drawbacks. The GUI does have some drawbacks, but I've emailed them. Hopefully there'll be a firmware update forthcoming. I'll stick that in the description. I'll do a community post whenever they release it so that you guys know too. So check that out, and thank you very much for using the link. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support, guys. Have a great holiday, and I'll catch you on the other side. Catch you next time on RC-TNT. Cheers.